And welcome in, everybody, to a Football Friday edition of Birds 365 here on JAKIB Sports. I'm your host, Xander Cross. That's my co-host, Johnny Mac, John McMullen. Wrapping up the week here now. Phase 2 of free agency, maybe in the rearview mirror now. You can call it phase 2, phase 3 at this point. We inch closer to the NFL draft, just 34 days away now from the NFL draft. Johnny Mac, how you doing on this Football Friday, my friend?
Some new players to talk about.
Yep.
The great Stone Smart is in town. Love the name.
Yeah.
Looking forward. Good special teams player. I think it's more to do about special teams. And then maybe someone people have heard of, Dameon Pierce, running back, signs. Interesting signing from the standpoint. Don't necessarily get where he fits. People might remember as a rookie at a big game against the Eagles in Houston on Thursday night. It's the same day the World Series and all that happened, and Phillies were playing the Astros, and the Eagles struggled a little bit, mainly because they couldn't stop Dameon Pierce. They ended up winning the game and obviously went on to make the Super Bowl that season. But that's his best game ever. And sometimes I think these GMs get caught up in guys who play well against them.
Yeah.
And, but if you look at where, obviously Saquon and Tank Bigsby and Will Shipley, and, people could say, well, he's an upgrade over Will Shipley, but really not that style of running back. So, if you bring in Dameon Pierce, it's not a third down back. That means Saquon's got to play all third downs because Tank's not a third down back. So don't necessarily get the fit there. But we'll see how it shakes out. Maybe he just turns into this year's A.J. Dillon. And it's just on the roster, but doesn't necessarily play that much. And, Stone Smart's a former college quarterback who shifted to receiver, then tight end. So he's a flex tight end, but he's more of as I said, a special teams player. But the problem with that is, you got to make the 53 to help on special teams. So are you going to carry him at tight end and move on from Grant Calcaterra or Johnny Muntz? So some interesting questions, but hey, competition never hurts. Never hurts.
No, I agree. Stone Smart is a hell of a name too, Johnny Mac. That's like a Hall of Fame name right there. Stone sounds like it could be a WWE wrestler, doesn't it? Stone Smart.
Yeah, don't say that. They might trademark that stupid name. It's my biggest pet peeve with WWE. I thought it would die once Vince left, Vince McMahon, in scandal, but his policy was make up these stupid names so you could merchandise them because,
yeah, right.
And then if they leave, if they go to the competition or something, you own the name, so they can't use the name. But they would come up with these stupid names. Like, God love him, he's one of the biggest stars, and now I've gotten past it because, he might be the biggest future star in the industry. And his name is Braun Breaker. Well, his name is Bronson. His real name is He's a Steiner. For those who know wrestling, he's a Steiner, who are legendary wrestlers. Why not call him Braun Steiner? Because you don't own the name. He owns the name. It's his name. Well, his name is Rex Steiner, but you get the point. Stupid. Anyway, I'm down this tangent.
A nice little tangent to start on.
Don't say that because they'll use that name. It is a great name.
And then Stone might find himself ending up in the WWE fighting with that name.
Yeah.
It's like buying it's like a little lesser extent. It's like buying domains, John. I buy domains left and right. If I ever think of anything, any idea that I've ever had, even if it doesn't come to fruition, I buy the domain for like 5 years. I'm like, give myself some time in case I want that domain. I don't want anybody else to have it. So that's what I do. That's not quite as big as the WWE trademarking names. But Stone Smart has landed in Philly. John, what do you make of the Dameon Pierce move? Do you think that's a legit, a guy that they expect to legit get some touches? Like, do you think he could be the number 2 back? I mean, he had a good year a couple years ago. He hasn't done much in the last few seasons. was definitely on the way down a little bit. I don't know if that's because of his usage or whatever the case may be, but 26 years old. He's a smaller dude, 5'10", so he's kind of a shorter guy. Do you expect him to kind of get some touches in this rotation, or is he going to have to fight for a roster spot?
No, he's going to have to fight for a roster spot. And I think to a lesser degree, Tank Bigsby is, but you gave up what you gave up for Tank Bigsby. Very similar frame wise, very similar, I would say, running backs. Pierce, a lot of injuries over the past couple of years. So I think it would be a big disappointment if this guy beat out Tank Bigsby. But again, I don't think competition hurts. Never hurts. So, if he plays better, sure. But I
he only had 36. Was that right? He only had 36 rushing yards last year.
Yeah, he hasn't done much since his rookie year, to be honest, where he had over 900 yards and he had 139 against the Eagles, which was his career high game. Never really did much after that. But if you look at him, he's 5'10", 215, so he's pretty thick.
Right.
Tank's 5'11", 215, so they're listed very similar. Tank is more explosive, I think, as everyone got to see. But I don't think he got cut by Houston last year and ended up on the Kansas City practice squad. So part of it is that he barely played. And last time in 2024, he only had 40 carries, but he had 293 yards. He had a 92-yard run, so there's some explosiveness there. Doesn't hurt. I haven't seen the contract yet, but I'm sure it's for the league minimum. And if he's better than Tank Bigsby, give him the job.
I don't think he's going to be better than Tank Bigsby. I mean, I'm not sure. I like Dameon Pierce, but if you look at the trajectory, it's not looking great. Now, maybe that's just because of where he was, and maybe a change of scenery helps him. But we will find out. I've been on this, John. I do think the Eagles should, potentially pursue. I don't want to call it a full 2 running back approach, but I think they should be willing to give more opportunities to other backs. Not because I think it's going to, not because I think Barkley's not capable, but because I think it gives your team an advantage. I mean, did it hurt Jahmyr Gibbs to give the ball to David Montgomery? Hey, maybe some people think it did, but it worked out well. It was a good change of pace. It was a good dual threat type of back system. It served Detroit well. You see some other teams doing it well. Chicago notably did it last year as well with the 7th round pick in Kyle Monangai. I think the Eagles should look to that, man. I mean, we've talked about Saquon Barkley, John, 29 years old, 9th
well,
year.
I think, yeah, I think,
I don't know how much that guy has in the tank in terms of carrying the load for the whole year, 350 tight things like that. I don't know if that's the smart way to use Saquon at this point in his career.
Well, I think with Saquon, it's more about next year. And by next year, I don't mean 2026. I mean 2027, because I think there's a good chance he won't be here in 2027. So you have to start thinking about, just like other positions, whether it's Lane Johnson, Landon Dickerson, you have to think about the future as well. And, if you bring this kid in and you have 2 guys who, have some juice and maybe could develop and turn into either what you're talking about, maybe a rotation, maybe a part of a rotation. But I think that's post Saquon Barkley, not with him here. But I think post Saquon Barkley might come quicker than people realize. So it's kind of my point. So, my hunch is they'll find a spot for him if he shows anything in training camp, similar to A.J. Dillon. Not necessarily going to be relevant, but keep him around, try to develop him. Injuries always happen, and he could potentially get in the mix. But to me, yeah, he would have to beat out Tank, and I don't think he's going to beat out Tank. Not my Tank, Tank Bigsby. He's not going to beat out my Tank either, but I don't think he's going to beat him out. So just depth, draft proofing. You don't have to draft a running back now. Probably going to bring in an undrafted guy just for training camp and things like that. But, it's a worthy dart throw, I would say. But I wouldn't expect all that much.
Yeah, I'm not expecting that of Dameon, but I'm wondering if the Eagles should take up that approach. Now, it doesn't look like they're gonna because they have Tank and Dameon now, so that's probably who they're going to roll in with. But I wouldn't be upset if they made a significant move at run, not significant, but a little bit better than a dart throw, somebody that you brought in and had confidence, or who would get 150 touches or something like that. I think that would be a good thing for the Eagles, but maybe not, John. I know they're paying Saquon Barkley what they're paying him, so it's probably not going to be realistic for them to go that route, but we will see what they end up doing. So Dameon Pierce signed by the Philadelphia Eagles, and Stone Smart. Okay, I like that name. That is an excellent name, Johnny Mac, Stone Smart, as we mentioned. So those are the